To my channel, everybody. My name is Paul, and I do real estate in the state of Virginia, and I specialize in homesteading and rural properties. And today I'm going to talk about solar energy and why it may or may not be a proper solution for your particular household. Let's talk a little bit about what it is. For example, solar energy has some variability to it. As we know, the solar panels keep getting updated and there's new ones coming along. So one of the problems that we get into with solar is that, let's say you install a whole bunch of solar panels, and then a few years go by, and then it becomes like, oh, there's some brand new ones out there, they're much more efficient, or maybe you move or something, and now you got a problem because you got that stuff on your roof. And honestly, in the real estate business, it's really quite a trade-off, because there are people who just really do not like to have the solar panels on their home, especially on their roof, because it detracts from the cosmetics of it. Plus, if you ever need to repair your roof and you got those solar panels up there, you're going to have a real problem, because you got to take the whole solar panels off first before you can even work on the roof. So that's one aspect and one of the negatives about solar. Another is the angle of your roof. There are a lot of homes these days that are built in developments, and they're just put in every which way. And the way the roof is situated, it's not necessarily at the right angle for the sun, because maybe it'll get good sun for half of the day, but then the rest of the day it doesn't. You see, so then you got a problem because your efficiency is reduced. And another problem is that a lot of the newer houses, let's say you have these, what they call the muck mansions. There's a giant two-story house, and then the roof's got all these different corners and gutters and everything, and it's not necessarily an ideal kind of situation for a roofing panel, because it's really difficult to install up there, and it's steep a lot of times in some of these homes, and then it may not even be at the right angle, like I was saying. One of the interesting things is a very simple ranch house situated in the right angle, so one side of the ranch house is just got full sun, or else it's situated in a way where one side faces this way toward the east, and then the sun comes up this way, and then when it gets the other side, it's activating the other panel, so then you have a nice situation. But as I've said, a lot of the design of the roofs these days, they just every which way, and various different kind of angles. So that's one thing. Now, the cost of solar, they always advertise, hey, you know, you're going to be able to sell your electricity back to the power company. Well, good luck with that, because it certainly won't be selling it back at night. During full sun and full power and everything, if you have the right kind of system, yeah, you might be able to not only have no bill, but might be able to earn a little bit of money with your solar. But not very much, honestly. And I'll give you an example of a family member who had them check it out one time recently. And I did some checking into her house online and with the angle of it and so on. I said, look, you know, you're only going to get sun about half the day, because the roof that they're going to put the solar on is facing east, but as soon as the sun goes across the noon position, is starting to go down the west, and then the eastern side is not getting the right angle, and it's not going to be very good. So I suggested, why don't you put it on the garage? Because the garage had a different kind of roof and was situated in a way that it was going to get much better sun for a longer period of time. Plus, it's only a one-story building, and it's much easier to install. Plus, it doesn't detract from the cosmetic appearance. That's another thing that really impacts the people's home's value. When I'm a realtor, so if you go out there and you see a home, and let's say it's a beautiful home, but then they go, there's all that stuff on the roof. Oh my God, it doesn't look very good because it's got this huge solar panels up there. Now, let's say the solar panel technology increases and we get better efficiency. Well, now you got these old ones up there, and you got to take them down and put them new ones up there. And if you ever want to do any work on your roof, good luck with that, because you have to remove all the solar panels just so you can work on the roof. So that can be an issue. Now, another aspect about the solar energy production is you cannot store electricity. You can store a whole bunch of gasoline, and when you need it, then you can just pump some more, put some in your car or tractor, and they can get going. But with solar energy, you just can't store it unless you have a good battery system. And those batteries are not only very heavy and bulky, but they're expensive. And you got to have some place in the basement or somewhere for those batteries, the bank, to be put. And they don't last forever. So let's say you have a power outage for 7 or 8 days and it's nasty weather and cloudy and snows on your roof and so on. You're not going to get much new solar energy coming into your house. You're just going to have to rely on those batteries. And eventually those batteries are going to go dead. And then you have to recharge them again. So you are going to be dependent on the system, the grid they call it. And I had some years ago, my wife and I had some people come and look at our household, and we had a small roof, and part of it faced south and so on, but it was also on the eastern side, there was a large tree. So when the sun came up in the morning, it shaded that part of the house significantly until the sun got up to about 11, 12 o'clock. And then in the afternoon, it was great. So there really wasn't enough room on this small house at the right angle to put the solar panels. So I asked them, okay, well, where are you going to put them? They said, well, there's a space in the yard. Okay, well, now you got to take up a big chunk of my yard with these ugly old solar panels, and then they're going to have to wire it over to the house. And then I asked them, well, am I going to get off the grid? And they go, no, not really, because for that you need a generator backup system or these new kind of batteries, which are very expensive, like I said, and have that system installed in your basement. And then you might have a backup system, because otherwise you can have all the solar you want, but as soon as that the power grid goes down and you can't get to them, and then you have snow on your roof and then the wrong angle and cloudy skies, you're going to be almost in the same situation. Now, solar energy is very, very helpful as a backup system. It's very good to have that as a backup system. And honestly, people don't need a full system, because if you want to have a 5,000 kilowatt system, which is basically a common thing, a house might need 5,000 kilowatts, okay? So the modern houses have loads and loads of things plugged in, but most of them you don't even need. If you really are in a desperate situation in a power outage that goes on for days and days and days, if you can, keep your refrigerator running, and if you can keep some lights on, maybe one, don't need all the lights, don't need all the gadgets, don't need everything going on. You just have a certain amount of power that gives you enough time to charge up all your devices and run your laptop and a few lights. And there are lights now and bulbs that don't take much electricity. When I used to do camping, I would take a large battery with me in my camper, and I would just hook an inverter to it and put up these little Christmas lights, the white ones, and I would have plenty of light, and I could charge my phone and so on, and have sufficient energy to get by. And when you look around your home, you see what are the big energy users. If you have electric heating, like many houses do, the old, especially mobile homes and modulars, wow, they take a lot of electricity. So same way with air conditioners. If you have an air conditioner running, it's going to draw a lot of power from that grid, that system that you have. So you may not want to run an AC or heavy heater in the winter. Now, if you have also a wood stove, for example, and you don't need that electric heater, even if you have a gas or a propane tank for heating, or if you have an oil system, they have fans in these houses that use a lot of electricity. I lived in a house one time, and every time that furnace would go on, boy, that fan would start cranking. Now those things use a lot of electricity to blow that air around your house. So you may, in a very serious power outage situation, you can heat a small room with a different kind of heater. Or if you have a wood stove, you can heat up a house quite nicely, especially if it's a small house. So I urge people to consider solar as a backup, as a useful addition, and so on, but it's very hard to depend totally on solar for all your power needs in a home. There's just too much these days. Refrigerators, heaters, electric stoves, air conditioners, those things use a lot of power. Now, your bulbs don't use much power. And you know, a lot of the little devices that we have, we always step them down because they don't even need 120 volts. When you plug in something to charge your phone or something, you're taking that 120 volts and bringing it down to like 5 or 8 volts or 12 volts or something. So you're really losing a lot of efficiency if you're taking all that heavy power that your refrigerator needs and just wasting the power and confining it down to 12 volts, and then you're charging your devices. Now, you can have something on your back porch, for example, that's always just there and it's a small system, a small solar system that can charge your devices, that can power some basic LED lights or some Christmas lights or something. It's a nice backup system. For example, if you have a shed or a garage, you can throw a little solar panel out near there that'll just keep you going, that powers the lights or something in an emergency. But as far as a full solar system depend on constantly for all your electric power needs, that's really challenging these days, in my honest opinion, especially if you start getting large homes in a 4, 3, 5,000, 6,000 square foot of space. That's just a lot. And some of these newer homes have huge ceilings, and boy, man, trying to heat all that space, it's just really difficult with just solar energy. So that's my 2 cents about electricity coming from solar. You may not get off the grid like you imagine. You may just be a backup system. I'm not saying they're not useful or not good, but be careful when you buy because they could be very, very expensive, and it takes a long time. Let's say a solar system installation costs $20,000. Not just the installation, but the whole system. I mean, if you have a $100 electric bill every month, that's $1,200 a year. It's going to take a long time to pay off $10,000, $12,000 of installation. You see, so think about that, and also address your needs, because a lot of people don't really need as much power. They have things plugged in, lights going on all the time, and things that are using electricity they don't even care about because the bill keeps. It's invisible. That little meter keeps turning, and maybe you have lights on in the basement you forgot about. They've been on there for 6 hours, and you know, who knows, you know, stuff like that. You left your stove on or whatever. So all these things eat up power. So I suggest people look at their power use in the homestead and see what do they really need. Maybe it's really good to have one smaller solar system on your property somewhere modest-sized, that whether it's a garage or shed or outside your home or something, but it really can help offset the need and having a security, but not something you totally depend on all the time. So that's my 2 cents. I hope you listen to some of my other videos, and I watched a lot of other content. Please like and share, and I love to hear feedback from my customers. And if you ever need to buy or sell property in Virginia, I'm a specialist in that area in homesteads and rural property. So thanks again for listening.